Back at it again. WAC Hoops, All Access. The intro's growing on me. Kind of gets me a little dizzy sometimes, but I like it.
You know what? I may have to have your sister do one for us on our Straight Outta WAC podcast because that is a sweet intro.
Okay, I'm going to get her on that. We'll get you guys linked up. She would love that. Shout out to Anisha Burton. Actually, my cousin, but she might as well be my sister.
Sister. Sorry, my apologies.
It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all love. But speaking of siblings, we got a duo. We got a special guest today representing Seattle University. Seattle U, they like to call it. Yep. For those that don't know, they got a good squad right now.
The Red Hawks. They are
balling. 11-1 at home, if I'm not mistaken. They have only lost a few games this season. 13-4, is that right?
Yes.
13-4, and then they've won 4 conference games in a row, 5 in a row total, 3 last week. One just yesterday. They're balling out of control. They have a duo. One of the brothers in the duo has an assistant on the staff. It's an exciting time. So we're going to bring in Coach DeMarcus Tyson representing the Pacific Northwest in the building and let him talk about the squad. Coach, what up?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's nice to see you.
Excited to do it, man. This is episode 2. You made it on episode 2. You're doing something, man.
Oh, that's big time. Let's
just put it out there. Let's put it out there, Brian, that I specifically requested DeMarcus Tyson to be on this podcast, show today. There's a lot to talk about And
I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to be like a really good point guard who can just pass it, let him do his thing, right? I just have to acknowledge first that word on the street is the college basketball world probably don't even know this, but the word on the street is you're the youngest assistant coach in the country. What is that like? Whether it's true or not true, we'll say it's true because I heard it from a pretty credible source. What is that like for you being the youngest assistant coach in the country?
I think that gives me a little bit of an advantage. It allows me to have a different relationship with players than a lot of coaches have. And it gives me kind of like a leg up on a lot of people who are in my position that are starting at GA level or like Dobo level. It's just really amazing opportunity to be here as an assistant at my age right now. So it's just an amazing opportunity that I am blessed to have.
Well, and think about it too. I mean, you get back to Seattle U, you're from Bothell, and your brother signs with Seattle U as well, Cameron Tyson. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's got to be pretty special, the fact that you get to be on the same sideline and watch him do what he's done so far, up there in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's really special. I mean, we always grew up really close, so being able to spend pretty much all day, every day together is amazing, especially after, I left for college and went overseas, and then he was in Houston, and now being able to spend this much time with each other is an awesome opportunity that I think both of us are really grateful for. And I know my mom is grateful for it too, to be back around the city and around the house a little bit more. So, it's just this is an amazing opportunity.
Did you know that he was thinking about coming back home to play this year?
Yeah. So we talked through his recruitment. I mean, he was being recruited by a couple other schools that he thought about pretty heavily. And it wasn't an easy decision for him to choose Seattle U, but ultimately he felt like this was the best fit for him. And so far it's proven to be true.
I want to ask you, the 13-4, 4-0 WAC play kind of on most people's radars, kind of flying under the radar behind Grand Canyon and New Mexico State. And I mean, even Sam Houston's getting talked about a little bit more than Seattle is. Do you guys like that? Like, do you guys like being in that situation where we're just going to go out and play ball and not even worry about people talking or not talking about us?
Well, the thing that's special about this group of guys is that they really don't care about the recognition. They just want the wins. They want everything that they work so hard for. And I mean, that's their ultimate goal, is to try to get to the tournament. I mean, it's every college basketball team's goal, but they really mean it and they take that serious and they think about that every day when they go into practice, when they're going to weights, when they're doing everything. So I don't think that they care too much about the recognition at this point. They're just excited to be where we're at right now.
We'll get to your brother in a minute, but first I want to ask you about Darian Trammell. I tweeted out last night after that game, the game against CBU, you guys won. The smallest guy on the floor made arguably the biggest play of the game at the biggest moment to lead to the biggest assist of the game. Like, talk about this little 5'10" guard that plays like a giant.
Man, Darian is an amazing player. I mean, his heart, his passion for the game, his basketball IQ is unmatched. And it just shows how much work he's put in over the summer and even during the season. And he didn't get off to a great start and he turned it all the way around. And now he's proven to people why he was picked as preseason player of the year. He's a special player. I mean, that play doesn't surprise me at all. Like, that's just another play for DT. I mean, if you see some of the stuff he does in practice, like last week he shot something over the backboard at the end of the shot clock and it went in and nobody even really thought twice about it. Like, he's such a special player, man.
How does he make Cameron better? I mean, I was looking at the stats. Your brother hit 16 3-pointers in the last 3 games. All of them are wins, of course. Like, how does he make your brother better on the floor? I mean, it seems like they kind of make each other better in a sense.
Well, I mean, when you have a guard that can pretty much get downhill at will and get to the basket and get in the lane, get paint touches at will, it makes it so much easier for everybody else to do their job. And when teams have to worry about DT, Riley, and Cam, it makes it a lot harder to game plan against us. And so when Darian has it going, it's pretty easy for him to get Cam a good look, and all Cam needs is a good look to knock it down. He just has to have 2 feet on the ground and a glimpse at the rim, and he'll knock it down. But DT, he makes everybody better. I mean, the way he plays and his basketball IQ, like I keep saying, is unmatched. So he's just a tough, competitive guy that everyone kind of looks up to on the team. And so when he says something, it really resonates. And so if he's telling Cam to get to, I'm driving middle, I need you to get to the corner, I need you to fill behind, Cam's going to listen to that. And the next time down, he's going to do it. And then especially like once Cam hits 1 or 2, Darian is the first one to call a quick hitter or something for Cam. He's just so unselfish. And so that makes it really, it makes it easy to coach him, and it makes it easy for him to play the way he's been playing. I mean, I can't put it any better than that.
I want to go back to the Utah Valley game last Wednesday. You guys were down 10 with about 6 minutes left. You didn't hit a 3-pointer in the first half of that game. Mm-hmm. What did you guys and Chris Victor and the staff, what did you guys say to the players at the break, when they're struggling to hit shots from deep?
I mean, Coach Vic has the ultimate confidence in all our guys' shooting capabilities. I mean, we shoot it very well, obviously. So he wasn't too worried about us missing shots. He said that they were going to fall. It was just the fact that we were beating ourselves defensively, and that was more of his focus during the halftime speech. But this group of guys is so close; they were able to not really call each other out as much, but hold each other accountable at halftime and say, "Hey, you're better than this. We believe in you, and we know you can do this." And that's kind of what I think motivated the guys more so than anything. Not to take anything away from Coach Vic, he's done an amazing job to this point, and the guys love him. The guys trust him. But that one was a lot of the guys just really trusting in each other, and trusting the work that they put in. And I mean, it showed. So, and then,
yeah, you hit 10 3-pointers in the second half of that game.
And I mean, Privel was drawing up some good stuff too, so we can't leave him out of that one. So
it
was a great win. These last 2 games have been these last 3 games, sorry, have been good for us.
Take it through the California Baptist game. I mean, the ending was crazy. Like I said, Darren Trammell came up with that huge offensive rebound. Riley Grigsby hits a fall-away 3 to send it to overtime. And then you guys just kind of roll in the overtime period.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I've been high on the Red Hawks all year long prior to the season because I knew what they had coming back. And then you add in Cameron Tyson to the mix. But talking about maybe that leadership, that veteran, you have your brother who played in a Final Four last year or was on a Final Four team. And then, you have Riley Grigsby, Darren Trammell, Emeka Udeni. You have all these guys that played last year. They know each other. They trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it in a game like that where, somebody's got to step up and hit a shot that you have confidence in certain guys to hit those shots?
I mean, I think the whole staff is confident in anyone that we have on the court to make a play that's inside of their capabilities. Like every player on our team, I think, knows their role and trusts each other. They trust each other so much that it's like, I mean, we've had 3 close ones now where we had to hit big shots to win the game. The Alcorn game, the first game of the year. That Utah Valley game was pretty close, and then we had this Cal Bap game that was pretty close last night. And I mean, whoever's shooting it, whether it's Riley, Cam, or Darion, there's some other guys, I mean, that are even capable of taking those shots. But those are the first 3, obviously, that come to mind. But we have the ultimate confidence in them taking those shots. I mean, we feel like if the ball's in their hands at the end of the game, we have a pretty good chance of winning.
Well, I think, what was it? Alcorn State, it was your brother that hit the game winner.
Mm-hmm.
Utah Valley, your Cam and Riley hit a pair of threes down the stretch in that last 30 seconds or so to seal that win.
Mm-hmm.
Riley Grigsby hits one last night against California Baptist. I mean,
and we can't, I don't want to cut you off, but we can't forget that Darion's the one assisting on all of those plays. So,
I want to ask, who, and I know that there's other guys, like I said, Emeka Udeni, Victor Rakovic.
Yeah,
Rakovic. There's other guys that can hit shots.
Mm-hmm.
But this team is it feels like it's a big 3 right now, and who's got to step up at certain times when one of those 3 isn't having you talk about guys knowing their roles. So
yeah. Oh, I mean, if, for example, last night, I mean, Kyrie Brown had a big layup at the end of regulation. And he had a big assist to Vas Panja at the beginning of overtime, or not at the beginning of overtime, but he had a big assist to Vas Panja late in the game as well. And then Vas Panja hit a big 3 at the beginning of overtime to get us started on that run when it goes Vas. Then Cam hit one, and then DT hit one and kind of put it a little bit out of reach. But yeah, so I mean, really, all these guys that are playing, and our rotation is obviously changing game by game, and with the COVID stuff, and we got to deal with regular injuries and things like that. But everyone seems to be ready to step up, and that's the biggest thing. And everyone, like I said, everyone knows their role, and if somebody's not doing something, they're holding each other accountable. And that's kind of where they've made that step throughout the season, where maybe that Alcorn State game isn't as close if we have a little bit more experience under our belt, and we have that we're a little bit tighter like we are right now. But it's really, they've been so close, and they've trusted each other, and they trusted us as coaches to lead them and put them in the right positions to be successful. And so really anyone who gets the opportunity is really ready for that opportunity. So I don't think we really have any problems with other guys stepping up outside of the big 3 that we have.
Another one I want to ask you about that doesn't get the stats, doesn't put up the monster numbers or stuff the stat sheet. And I don't know how much you knew about Seattle before you got the assistant job. They've never had a lot of size the last couple of years.
Big B.
Brandon Chatfield from Washington State is giving you guys that size. And like I said, he doesn't blow your mind with his stats. He just kind of does the little things that make you guys be able to work with those guards.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's gotten better every game. Like, he's jumped leaps and bounds since the summer when he first got here. Not saying that he was a bad player when he got here, but just his feel for the game is getting so much better. And defensively, he's become a monster in the paint. And I mean, last game against Dixie State, he started off the game with 3 offensive rebounds in the first possession. So, I mean, I'm so proud of him because he's put in a lot of work in the film room and on the court with Coach Grigsby, and it's showing because he's doing, like you're saying, he's doing all the little things and he's doing everything right. And again, I think that's another testament to just everybody knowing their role. He's super happy with going in there, and all he wants to do is help us win. And all these guys want to do is win. And so when we have that, I mean, it's really special. Because I mean, I'm sure you've been around basketball for a long time. It's hard to get guys to buy in, and when you have that, and with the talent we have, I mean, it makes it really special.
So I want to. There's one sequence that put Brandon Chatfield on my radar a little bit more.
Okay.
Chicago State, second half.
Okay.
He pulls down an offensive rebound that leads to a 2-handed dunk for somebody. I can't remember who it was that dunked it. And then the next possession, he gets another offensive board, kicks it out to Darion for a 3, and it was like game over right there. I think Chicago State was trying to make a run, but like that's when it hit me that Seattle has a big guy now that can like. So that's why I asked you about him, because like now he's on a radar of just doing the little things that kind of complete the roster. I want to say.
For sure. I mean, he adds a different element that I don't think we had as much last year. No disrespect to the guys on the team last year. I mean, it's just he plays so hard and he impacts the game in the little ways, like you're saying. And I don't know. I mean, it's special to have a guy like that on your team. He I don't know. He just adds a new dynamic that we didn't have last year that is hard to explain. And when Coach Victor recruited him, he said like this could be a program changing recruit.
Yep.
So I'm curious about the new WAC, right? We got this high level league. You got the traditional powers are still at the top, Grand Canyon, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have all these Texas teams jumping in, and then now Seattle U is at the top. The defending champion still in the league in Utah Valley, the co-champion in Utah Valley, and they're still a tough out, and you guys just played them. And you have all these teams from, Abilene Christian, who beat Texas in the first round, and Sam Houston's had their success winning conference. Even if Austin has. So now you have all these other elements in this league, new travel. What is it like right now? Obviously, there's a lot more basketball fired up with the fact that you guys are undefeated and up at the top, and it's not because of anything fluke. You've had to earn it against every team you've played. You've played in close games. You have the firepower on the perimeter, but like you just said, you have the inside presence, you have the chemistry, you have the cohesion. What is it like for you guys in this new league? And then you have to feel pretty good that you can at least compete with anybody in the league on any given night.
Sorry, we got disconnected a little bit. I heard the last thing I heard was we have the firepower on the perimeter.
Yeah, and then you just know that you can, no matter if the league is better or not, you just know you can compete with anybody. And seeing a team like Utah Valley, I'm curious, and even Grand Canyon, they make a jump with the new staff. Utah Valley in year 2 makes that move and kind of wins their conference co-championship. It has to feel a little bit like you guys have a lot of optimism and confidence and belief that you guys can do the same.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think everybody in our locker room thinks that we have a chance to ultimately win the conference and go to the tournament. But we know that this is a tough conference. I mean, every night we're gonna have to battle for a win. No win is just gonna be given to you. And I think that this is one of the more even conferences, especially on the West Coast. Because like WCC, you got Gonzaga, St. Mary's, BYU at the top almost every year. This isn't like that. It's a super competitive conference. You have to earn every win. And I mean, our guys know that, but they also have that optimism, like you're saying, that we can compete, go out there and compete for a championship with what we have and with our guys. And with our guys playing at this high of a level, I mean, that's not too far out of reach.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, like I mentioned it, I've been high on Seattle before the season even started because of that firepower. Like it was all returning. They can score points, and you know, I think that added dimension of adding a big guy, 6'10" guy with P5 experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a league that has some really good big guys, I think can really be a program changer, like you said. So,
for sure,
really high on the Red Hawks. I'm really excited to see going forward. I mean, you guys got the trip to Texas this week, and
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not going to be an easy one. Abilene Christian's lost 4 straight, so they're kind of upset, and Tarleton's lost 2 straight. I mean, they both look really bad this past weekend, so should be
Those are going to be 2 tough games, though. Yeah.
The contrast of styles too, I think, is part of what makes this league so good. And you know, everybody coming into conference play against so many teams with a winning record. We talked about that on the first episode. I'm curious now, behind the scenes, give us a little insight. Can anybody beat you in the shooting contest? Because last I checked, you have some records of your own at Portland for shooting.
Yeah.
And then who is a better shooter, you or your brother? And then we got to have a funny story. So that was three rapid fire questions all in a row.
Okay, so
first one, can anybody on the team outshoot you?
I mean, personally, just my competitive fire is not going to let me say that anybody could beat me. But the way Cam is shooting the ball right now, we have a guy, Rip Economo, can shoot it. We have a lot of guys who can shoot it. So, but I just can't give it to that. I can't give that to him yet.
Now, do you have shooting competitions after practice or no?
In the summertime, we were having a couple.
Coach kind of forbids it in the season. He doesn't want you taking confidence. I got it. I see you, Coach. Okay.
But in the summertime, you know, I was talking a little mess to them, you know, trying to get them fired up for these workouts. And then after a couple of the workouts, they're like, all right, well, then how about you shoot against me? And you know, and Cam, me and Cam always talk trash. So like ever since we've been like growing up, that's our form of communication is just, well, I can do this better than you, or I could, you know, just like brotherly, just brotherly competitiveness. And so that kind of started up in the summer, but it's kind of died down now. But yeah, I mean, Cam right now, he's shooting it at a special clip, so I got to give it to him.
Are you surprised at how well he's playing, or is this all part of what you saw?
I mean, with the style of play we have, and with a point guard like DT, and just the coaches believing in him as a whole, and just the whole program really believing in him, and him coming in here and kind of bringing that toughness that he had from Houston and his work ethic that he always had the work ethic, but it just kind of went up a notch being at Houston. Yep. I think that helps a lot. Like that helps the team mindset a lot. And so I think, I think it's good.
All right, last one. Funny story. It's got to be a you and your brother story. You got to tell us a funny story. Growing up, playing one-on-one. I have 2 brothers, an older and a younger, so I know about that life.
Same.
So yeah, you got to give us some insight, some funny story along the way for you and your brother.
Okay, so I think this summer was the first summer he's ever won a one-on-one series against me, and he couldn't let it go. And so he's going around telling everybody like, "Oh, I beat you 1-on-1. I beat you 1-on-1."
Like I made it.
Exactly. And he goes and tells my dad, and my dad's like, "What? Oh, you finally won! You finally won!" Because he was the one that was always in the gym with us, taught us how to shoot and everything.
Right.
And he's like, "I don't believe it." So we got to go outside and play 1-on-1 outside in our front yard in front of our pops. Just
Pops had to watch again.
It had to be a verified win for Cameron. And
he needed a blue check. I like that, man. I like that. So who won the second game?
Oh, Cam won that.
He won it again.
The cardio for me, I got to get back. That's the hardest thing.
That's where he breaks you down at.
Yeah, exactly.
But the first few minutes is good. After that, downhill.
It's about 4-4, and then it ends up being like 6-11.
Right. Well, we appreciate it, man. Any last words you have, we'll let you have. But we appreciate you taking the time today, and glad to shine some light on Seattle basketball and what's going on out there, man. You guys are doing well and on fire right now, and looking forward to seeing how you guys continue to compete. You guys have the weapons to do it. I
appreciate you guys having me. And this is a special team, and we're hoping to have a special year. So I'm glad to shed some light on SU basketball.
Yeah, no doubt. We appreciate you, DeMarcus, and keep up the great work. Youngest assistant coach in the country, making his way. He didn't have to come in and lose it. He's coming in winning. So hopefully that continues for you as well, man. But you're already having a special season. We hope it continues, and praying for safety and health for your team, and keep balling out, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Keep not shooting against them so they can keep having confidence.
Exactly. I got to keep their confidence high. You don't want to, lose it this season.
We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Seattle U balling out. They're on fire right now. In first place, tied for first place, just like Grand Canyon, just like New Mexico State. Not many people would have thought it, but his brother has definitely been an X factor. You had a huge return from the portal, had one into the portal, really good player, come back, and then you get a big-time acquisition. So really the two biggest acquisitions of the offseason, and then you add picking up the big fella from Washington State. This team has definitely taken advantage of the transfer portal and recruiting through that. So you got to give credit there where it's due, and I think that's a part of this mid-major level. You see a lot of that going on more and more. Guys who maybe played at a place at one point in their career, then they transfer up, not playing, transfer down, and they take that experience like DeMarcus talked about with his brother. We know Houston went to the Final Four. We know how tough and gritty that program is, and you have no choice but to get better, even if you're not on the floor. And so now for him to get his chance to get back on the floor and take those things with him, he's definitely maximizing that. So we'll let Kyle break it down in his last 60 to 90 seconds, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, like I said, I've been on Seattle even before the season began. You return Riley Grigsby. Darian Trammell came back from the transfer portal. Aaron Nettles was supposed to be there, but he wasn't because he's been injured. Then you had Cameron Tyson. You have Emeka Denny. Kobe Williamson was back. And then they added Brandon Chatfield, 6'10" transfer from Washington State. These guys can light it up. The big three, Grigsby, Trammell, and Tyson, are the key factors here. If one of them doesn't shoot well, they're not going to, dominate a game like they probably should. But they have pieces in place. Like we said, Victor Rakovic, Vas Panja. Like, there's pieces in place here for this team. They're very deep, talented, and every one of them can shoot. So you love the fact that they are 4-0 in WAC play. They've already beaten Utah Valley. They won a close one in overtime at California Baptist last night. Now they go on the road, hostile environments at ACU and at Tarleton, but the matchups are perfect for them. And I think you're going to see a fun team that should be able to come out of this trip at 6-0. And there's just a lot of leadership, a lot of veterans here, and they buy into their roles, and they can shoot it at a high clip. And that's all you really have to say about Seattle. They're flying under the radar, and they love it that way. And that's the way it's probably going to be for the rest of the regular season, unless they, knock off a GCU or New Mexico State.
Yeah, and tell me this. You obviously were deep dove into the WAC last season as well. Did Utah Valley have a similar fly below the radar and then end up being co-champion?
Absolutely.
Because it feels very similar, right? You have
Nobody thought that Fardaws Aimaq was going to go for 15 rebounds a game last year.
Right.
Or that Trey Woodbury was going to explode onto the scene and Jamison over. And that's kind of this team. Like, you knew that Trammell and Riley Grigsby were there. You knew Cameron Tyson could shoot it. But you didn't know how good they really were because of the craziness of COVID last year. And sorry about that. I keep getting a phone call. But anyways, they're going to fly under the radar all year long, and don't be surprised if they're at the top of the WAC, that 1, 2, 3 position at the end of the season.
Right. No, well said. And, you know, I think going to this road trip is also such a contrast of styles, right? They play so well at home. They've been able to sneak some on the road. And Abilene Christian's had some injuries. They may be coming back with health. The hard part about this league is not many teams are going to go undefeated because the league is so tough.
Right.
In every conference you feel like it's a tough conference, but these teams having the winning records that they have and the program pedigrees that they have here recently kind of proves that. And I think the new teams just add a different element. They've never played these teams. They've never gone on this Texas trip. So it's going to be a little interesting to see, but I always I'm not surprised about people losing certain matchups, but they do have the squad to be able to compete, to be in the 1, 2, 3 position. I don't disagree with that. But I also wouldn't be surprised, depending on how all this stuff goes with COVID and this team and this guy's back, and you just never know college basketball. That's why you gotta love it. But shout out to Seattle, much deserved light. They'll keep shining. I believe they'll keep winning in the way they score the ball and the balance that they have. An exciting team. We appreciate the youngest assistant coach in the country, Division I, coming to join us. All right, you know where to find us.